Hi friends, it's Judy Anderson with JudyStamps.com bringing you another stamping idea today. I'm going to be sharing how I did this background for this card that I shared yesterday on my blog. And it uses the stamping on embossing folder technique and our splattered glitter. These techniques are so much fun and I've been having just a ball playing with them lately. To start with, my cardstock sizes are, my card base is 5.5 by 11.5 scored at 4 1/4. My basic black base is 3 15/16 by 5 3/16. I wanted a little bit more of a border around this mat. And then what we're going to be stamping on today, it's a piece of Whisper White and it measures 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. Okay, let's get started. We're going to put those to the side and we're going to start with our technique. This is our Woodlands embossing folder. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. There we go. And you're going to have to decide which way you want your tree branches to go. The tree branches can either be going down or going up. Be going up if I flipped it around. We are going to be doing our technique on the side that says Sizzix. Okay, we're going to open that up, and for this particular card, since it's supposed to be a spooky Halloween skyline, I wanted my branches coming down because they seemed more eerie, like they were kind of like arms, the branches. Okay, we're going to grab our brayer and then our ink colors, and the ink colors I'm using are Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, Lost Lagoon, and Night of Navy, and we'll be doing some stamping with our Memento Black. I first punched out a post-it note with our 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and I made sure I had a little bit of this sticky. Now this is, you're going to decide where you want your moon, and I'm going to move it a little bit. On my card that I showed you, I had it at the top corner, but I'm wanting to place my owl. I think I'm going to place my owl down here, and I want him to be in the moon. So I'm going to place this one here. So I'm going to change this up just a little bit on the way I do my inking. And the last one, I did my yellows and my oranges at the top. This time I'm going to be doing them in the center. So when I ink up my brayer, I'm only going to ink up part of the brayer because I want more control. And you don't want a definite line here. If you press too hard, let me see if I can get it. Oh, I'm not, yeah. You look here, I get that real deep line there. You don't want that. So you want to just kind of lightly roll over that again to alleviate that line there. Okay, now I want my yellow around my moon, so I'm just going to brayer, and I am primarily above the moon and a little bit below it. Don't worry if it's solid, because we don't care if it's solid. Then I'm going to take my pumpkin pie pad, and once again I'm just going to roll it on part of it, just inking it up lightly. And I'm going to start, let me move my clean pad. Now I didn't clean my brayer between the inks because the Daffodil Delight is lighter than the pumpkin pie. I'm going to hold my embossing folder down, and I'm going to start out and move towards the moon, and then same around here and same on this side and this side. So I have that yellow and the pumpkin pie, the Daffodil Delight and pumpkin pie kind of blending. I am going to clean off my brayer a little bit on my ink cleanup pad just to get most of that ink off. Okay, now I'm going to go into my Lost Lagoon. The Lost Lagoon isn't quite a blue. It's got some green in it, but it's not a real dark color. It's kind of a medium tone. Once again, I'm going to move from out and just go around the edges, working my color into the colors that I already have. I don't need a lot of color on there, and I don't care if it's splotchy. That gives it the eerie feeling for this card. Going into my Night of Navy, I'm going to clean off my brayer again, and you'll notice that I'm not cleaning it completely off. I just want all the excess ink off. Okay, now this time I'm going to go ahead and ink up part of my brayer again with the Night of Navy. Now this time I do want to make it darker. So I'm going to blend in, and you'll notice I'm getting ink on the part that wasn't inked up, and that's because as I go around and blend it, I'm picking up ink. I am going to brayer it up a little bit more because I want this nice and dark. And you're just going to play with this a little bit and kind of get the skyline you want. Don't worry if you have definite lines, because I'm going to show you how to take care of that. All I'm caring about right now is that I get good ink coverage on here with the Night of Navy. Okay, clean this off a little bit. I'm going to put it to the side. And now we're going to do a little bit of blending with a sponge. Now this is sponge, you'll notice, doesn't have any color marking on it because this is a sponge I use and wash every time I use it, and it goes into different inks, and that's why. Now I didn't close my inks up yet because I do want to pick up a little bit of yellow, and you can put your finger on a tree that doesn't have any color in it, and I do want to blend that yellow out a little bit, and I do want to get a little bit of yellow into my Night of Navy in Lost Lagoon colors. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Night of Navy and just sponge that up into the Lost Lagoon. And you'll notice I'm sponging right over the Daffodil Delight and the Pumpkin Pie because we just want to give it the idea that the sun is radiating this color around. Not the sun, I'm sorry, the moon. Okay, and we're going to blend these in. Now our card is not going to cover the entire embossing folder, but I colored the entire thing so I could decide where I wanted my paper to go. And then what I'm going to do is pick up a piece of baby wipe, because you'll notice that when I sponged on there, I got some color on the trees, and I want to remove that, some of it. You don't have to remove it all, but you have to do this very carefully. I just kind of use my fingernail and go along the trees a little bit. And it's okay to have some color in there because it gives definition. Now you'll notice I wiped a little bit too much there, so I am actually going to grab my brayer, and even though it doesn't have much ink on it, I'm going to be able to blend some of that color in there. See, just like that. And it gives it some lightness and some darkness. Now you can play with this as much as you want. I tend not to play with it too much because you have a little bit of control but not complete control. Now you also notice that I have some ink on the top part. I do want to clean that off because that will go on the back. You not going to see it in this card, but I just like to get in the habit of doing that. So if I do this technique on a card that I will see the back on, I don't have ink all over. Let me wipe this ink off. I forgot to put my stamping pad down. Okay, we are now going to lift up our mask, and you'll notice that it's no ink there. Now remember, this is the bottom of your card here, so where do you want your owl to be? And that's going to be how you're going to place this on. You need to place this on very carefully. And once again, remember I said I was going to do the owl in an open space. So it's going to be done right in here. So I decide where I want my owl on my card front, and you're just going to set that down carefully. You're now going to close the embossing folder up on top of that and hold it tight. Let's bring in our big shot. And I already have it set up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to lay it on. Now when you lay your embossing folders in, you need to do seam front, and this is a wider embossing folder, so we want to make sure that it's in between and it's not the sides of the big shot, and it's not going to get caught because that'll ruin the sides of your embossing folders. So just set that down on there. Make sure we get it covered real good and run it through. Now I usually run it through once, but you can run it through forward and then again backwards. And make sure you get good saturation of the ink in there. Okay, are you ready to see what we created here? This kind of makes you feel like a real artist, because every single card that you do will come out different no matter how you try. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Here, let me get up in the camera. Look at that sky. Kind of eerie, isn't it? Now look at the difference between the two. See that? The other thing you have to remember is when you do this technique, it's going to come out opposite of what you're stamping on the embossing folder. So it's going to be a mirror image. Okay, I'm going to take my Memento ink and move my stamp pads here. And I've got my owl image. And I'm going to place him right on this branch. And since it's a photopolymer stamp, he's going to be placed very easily right on there. Good even pressure to get a good image. Now we want some spooky eyes creeping out of the forest. Hang on, let me get my stamping mat here. I don't want to keep getting ink all over my table. Okay, and I'm going to go stamp off the card in some places, and you can do as many of these as you want. You know, these are all those creatures in the forest peeking through the trees, waiting to get you. And then what I did is I took my white gel pen, and I wanted these eyes to stick out a little bit, so I just put a little circle in the center of each one. Doesn't that just make those eyes pop? I just love this. Okay, now you can leave your moon like this, stark white, so it's really shiny. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to create some clouds. So I just took my sponge and sponged over it in a couple of spots. And it's going to create the illusion that there's a cloud going in front of the moon. Okay, now for our next technique. For this, we're going to need our aqua painter, a little container for your glue mixture, and we're using our mono liquid glue, and you're just going to put about a dime size in here. And of course, it seems I picked one up that was low on ink or glue, and just about a dime size blob of glue is all you're going to need. Then our aqua painter, we're going to squeeze a little bit of water into this. Now remember, you still have water in the brush, so don't squeeze too much. And we just want to make this a liquidy consistency, not too thin, but thin enough that we can splatter it. Okay, you're going to keep your aqua painter loaded up with the mixture, and we're going to take our card, and all you're going to do is sit here and I splatter it like this. Or another way that you can do it, if you don't want to get your fingers all full of glue, is tap it. Now you're not going to see where it's going. I'm going to warn you now, and don't do too much. I've seen people going crazy with this. Oops, it seems like I'm getting some water. Hang on. There we go. Okay. We're going to set that to the side and grab our silver glitter in our little tray. And I'm just going to sprinkle the card with glitter. Lots of glitter. You do this technique, you're going to get glitter all over you, and you'll have glitter on you no matter where you go. Look at that shine. Can you see that? I know the picture that I posted on my blog yesterday, you really couldn't see it, but look at that shine and just the eeriness. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I was just so excited when I finished this card up. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side, and while that's drying, I've already embossed the basic black with the woodland texture embossing folder. I wanted to bring those trees out of my center mat and onto the back mat. Make sure you get it, put it on so your branches are in the same direction. And I just noticed I kind of goofed up on this one. My branches are going up instead of down. So I'm going to put this one so they're going up instead of down. I guess that's good because now you can see what they look like in the different ways, and decide which way you want your branches to go. Once again, I meant for them to go down and not up. I am going to line my trees up in the back right there. So the tree trunks are going up and down the same. Look at that card. Isn't that awesome? I just love it. I hope you give these two techniques a try, and anxious to hear what you do. I'll share on my blog the ones we did for the winter in my clubs this month, so you can see those also. So until next time, happy stamping, and don't forget you can purchase any of these products I used today at my online store by going to judystamps.com, and it's Judy with an I, and don't put www in front of it. Just click the Shop Now button and you'll be on your way to creating your own fun cards. Till next time, happy stamping!